Saparshada Bhagavad Viraha Janiti Vilapa, or, in other words, lamentation due to separation from the Lord and his associates. From Sacidananda Das Thakur's Prarthana. The very bottom of 91. Ye anila prema dana karuna pacho Ye anila prema dana karuna pracho Hena Prabhu Kota Gela Acharya Thakura Hena Prabhu Kota Gela Acharya Thakura Kahamora Swarup Rupa Kaha Sanatan Kaha Dasa Raghunatha Patita Pavan Kahamora Patta Yuga Kaha Kabira Eka Kale Kota Gela Goranatara Ashane Katiba Mata Onnale Pashiba Gauranga Gunera Nidhi Kotagile Pabo Se Sabba Sangira Sange Yekolo Vilas Yekala Viva Se Sangana Paya Konde Narothamada All right, so I'll read the English translation. Can you put this, Alex, on this? Matt. Okay. Okay, so here we go. Translation. He who brought the treasure of divine love and who was filled with compassion and mercy Where has such a personality as Srinivas Acharya gone? Where are my Swarup Damodar and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatan? Where is Raghunath Das, the savior of the fallen? Where are my Raghunath Bhatta and Gopal Bhatta? And where is Krishnadas Kaviraj? Where did Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go? I will smash my head against a rock and enter into fire. Where will I find Lord Gauranga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities? Being unable to obtain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all of these devotees in whose association he performed his pastimes, Narottam Das simply weeps. Om Jnanativadandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshulanmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Kam Karitavachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yakripatamaham Bande Shri Gurun Diditaranam Vancha Kapudrivishta Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today is the disappearance of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Gadadhara Pandit. So first we could discuss Gadadhara Pandit and then Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. All right, so this is, I'll just read something here about Gadadhara Pandit, short biography. Sri Gaur Hari, Lord Chaitanya, had so much affection for Sri Gadadhara Pandit that he couldn't be without him for a moment. He appeared a year after Lord Chaitanya. Gadadhar and Lord Chaitanya were inseparable as childhood playmates. Peaceful, renounced, serious, self-composed, fond of solitude, Gadadhar proved quite a contrast to his bosom friend Gaur Roy, who was fickle, unsteady, and whimsical. In Gangadas Pandit's school, Nimai Pandit regularly teased Gadadhar by challenging him with illogical questions. Sri Kavi Karnapur states that in Vraj Leela, Vrindavan pastimes, Gadadhar Pandit is the daughter of King Vrishabhanu. And you know who the daughter of King Vrishabhanu is, right? Srimati Radharani. Yes. All right. Should I read it all over? Okay. The daughter of King Vrishabhanu, that's Srimati Radharani. Gadadhar Pandit served as Lord Gaur's chief assistant during his Navadvip Leela. Shri Radha Krishna and Vrindavan appear as Gaur Gadadhar to perform pastimes in Navadvip in the forest groves beside the Ganges. No one can describe the characteristics and ecstatic love of Gadadhar Pandit. Therefore, another name for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Gadadhar Prananath, the life and soul of Gadadhar Pandit. One day, while wandering along the bank of the Ganges, Gaur Sundar entered a forest grove and sat in a meditative mood. Soon he became enraptured, remembering his Vrindavan pastimes. To enhance the Lord's mood, Mukunda Datta began singing sweet songs in Purva Rag. Shri Gadadhar made a garland of fragrant forest flowers and lovingly placed it around the Lord's beautiful neck. As Sri Radha used to dress Damodar in Vrindavan, similarly Gadadhar would adorn the radiant form of Lord Gauranga. He would also decorate Lord Chaitanya's bed and bedroom with sweet-smelling flowers. Every day he would make sandalwood paste to rub on Sri Chaitanya's transcendental body. Gaur Gadadhar sat on the root of a tree, serving as a raised dais. Sri Nityananda Prabhu sat on Lord Chaitanya's right. Srivas Pandit decorated them with flowers. Sri Advaita Acharya offered artik. Nada Hari waved a chamra. Shuklambar offered chandan, and Murai Gupta sang the Lord's glories. Vijay, Mukunda, Purushottam, Madhava, and Vasudev Ghosh sang a variety of songs in different ragas. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed his Nadia Leela. Gadadhar Pandit also took the renounced road of life and went to Jagannath Puri to be with Lord Chaitanya. Accepting Chaitra Sannyas, a renunciate who never leaves the Dham, he served the deity of total Gopinath with full love and devotion. Regularly, Sri Krishna Chaitanya came to relish Sri Gadadhar's Rasika reading of Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Chaitanya concluded his manifest pastimes by entering the deity of Toda Gopinath. Although Gadadhar Pandit was barely 48 when the Lord departed, he quickly became old because of the intense anguish he felt in separation from his beloved Lord Gaurasundar. He couldn't stretch his arms to offer a garland to his deity. Understanding the servant's difficulty, Sri Toda Gopinath sat down to facilitate Gadadhar's loving service. To this day, Sri Toda Gopinath is the only sitting deity of Krishna. According to some authorities, a short time after Lord Chaitanya's disappearance, Sri Gadadhar Pandit joined his eternal pastimes by entering his beloved deity of Toda Gopinath. His Danta, tooth, samadhi stands near the Vamsi Gopal temple in Vrindavan. Yeah. So Gadadhar Pandit is very, it says here he's in Vraj Leela, Gadadhar Pandit is Srimati Radharani, so. Though we see that, as being stated here, that in the early life they're very close, Lord Chaitanya and Gadadhar Pandit, and so much so that said here that they're inseparable, and he couldn't be without him for a moment. So this is you could say, symptom of when somebody loves someone, they're always with that person. Means they always want to be with that person, or if they're not able to be with that person, they're always thinking about that person. It's a separation. And that's how we know if we're making some advancement in Krishna consciousness, if we're always thinking about Krishna or Krishna consciousness, spreading Krishna consciousness, then it's a good sign that there's some affection developing there. And of course, this is the most high degree, Gadadhar Pandit and Lord Chaitanya in their relationship. But we should try to make progress in that direction, becoming fully Krishna conscious. And also saying here that later on in life, Gadadhar Pandit accepted the renounced order of life. And specifically, he was a Chaitra sannyasi, kind of like Janardhan. Janardhan doesn't leave the property much, Just joking. Huh? I'm just joking. But Chaitra sannyas, it's an aspect, or it's a particular type of renounced order of life in which one doesn't leave the particular, I think, town that they're in. It might be the location, but I don't think it's that specific. I think they're able to go around in the town. But or maybe it is. They're just literally, and you can't leave the temple compound. I'm not exactly sure. But he was there as a Chaitra sannyasi, and he was serving his deity of Toda Gopinath with full love and devotion. And this Toda Gopinath deity, the deity is in Jagannath Puri, and of course there's the big Jagannath temple there. And then we have our ISKCON property there that used to be Bhaktivinoda Thakur's place of worship. And right across from Bhaktivinoda Thakur's place of worship is Haridas Thakur's Samadhi. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur's place, our place, the ISKCON now, and then right across Haridas Thakur. And then if you walk down the road, maybe 10 minutes, take a right, walk another 5 minutes or so, take a left, you'll be at the place Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's Gaudiya Math, a place where he established a temple. And specifically, that place is a place where it is said that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he would see the sand dunes, because there's like sand dunes in Jagannath Puri to some degree, and so he would see those, and he would run towards them while he was there in Puri in this ecstatic love for Krishna, thinking that they're Govardhan Hill. So that's where Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has his temple. And then right across the street from that temple, a few-minute walk, is the Tota Gopinath temple. And this is where Tota Gopinath resides to this day. And as it's stated here, he's the only sitting deity. Now there's laying deities. There's deities who are reclining deities, such as in Sri Rangam they have, what's his name? Ranganath. Ranganath there, he's reclining. I went down there and had darshan of him. So, and also was there at Tota Gopinath temple. And why was he sitting? Why is Tota Gopinath sitting? He's sitting because Gadadhara Pandit was getting elderly, and he had a hard time going up there and putting the garland on Tota Gopinath. So it said that the deity sat down to facilitate Gadadhara Pandit's service. And that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he would hear from Gadadhara Pandit regularly the Srimad Bhagavatam. And specifically it says that he would hear the section of Dhruva Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj many, many times from Gadadhara Pandit. And then eventually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left, and then he was feeling great separation, Gadadhara Pandit, and he and it says here, according to some authorities, a short time after Lord Chaitanya's disappearance, Gadadhara Pandit joined his eternal pastimes by entering the beloved deity of Tota Gopinath. Entered the deity of Tota Gopinath. And his samadhi, specifically his danta, his tooth samadhi, so they got one of his teeth apparently, and took that tooth and then had a whole ceremony, buried it, and there's a samadhi, so you could go there and visit his samadhi. Samadhi is a place where either the body is entombed or a tooth or something like this from a great personality. So that's a little bit about Gadadhara Pandit. Now we'll just read about Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Mm-hmm. A 100 times. Yeah. Lord Chaitanya has good memory, the best memory, and still he heard these pastimes so many times. Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj. So, very important. So now we'll hear about Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Sri Sacidananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur appeared in 1838 in a wealthy family in Nadia district, West Bengal. He revealed that he is an eternal associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by his extraordinary preaching activities and prolific writing. Living as a Mahabhagavat Vaishnava, it's a Vaishnava on the topmost level, he stayed in the Grihastha ashram until the last few years of his life. Then he renounced everything, accepted Babaji, and entered Samadhi, totally absorbed in the loving service of Gaura Gadadhara and Radha Madhava. He had a responsible government position as the district magistrate high court judge, maintained a Krishna-conscious family, and wrote almost 100 books on Krishna consciousness. At the same time, he served the Supreme Lord in so many ways. That is the beauty of his life. After a full day of government service, he would sleep 4 hours, get up at midnight, and write until morning. That was his daily program. Thakur Bhaktivinoda took Vaishnava Diksha from Sri Vipin Vihari Goswami in the line of Sri Janavamata. Afterwards, he received spiritual inspiration and direction from Sri Jagannath Das Babaji. Holding an exalted government post, vast erudition and spiritual accomplishment never disturbed Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He remained prideless, always humble, friendly to all. Charity seekers at his home always left happy and satisfied. A well-wisher to everyone, he never kept grudges, even with opponents to his preaching. In fact, he never spoke a word that would hurt another's feelings. The Thakur was always courageous and acted for everyone's welfare. Keeping personal needs to a minimum, he led the simplest of lives, said one Pandit. In the following entry from Saranagati, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who had all pure divine qualities, takes the role of a conditioned soul to teach us how to advance in Krishna consciousness. All right, so this is from his song. You should always absorb your mind in attentively chanting Krishna's glories. By performing Krishna Kirtan, you'll gain mastery over the mind. Give up all false pride. Always think yourself to be worthless, destitute, lower and more humble than straw in the street. Practice forgiveness like the tree. Giving up all violence towards other living entities, you should maintain them. Throughout your life, you should never give anxiety to others, but do good to them, make them happy, and forget about your own happiness. Thus, when you become a pious good soul by possessing all good qualities, you should give up desires for fame and honor, and just make your heart humble. Knowing that Lord Sri Krishna lives within all living beings, you should respect and honor everyone at all times. You will attain virtue by being humble, merciful, respecting others, and renouncing desires for fame and honor. In such a state, you should sing the glories of the Supreme Lord. Weeping, Bhaktivinoda submits his prayer at the lotus feet of the Lord. O Lord, when will you give me such qualities as these? So there's a little bit more to read, but I'll just say something. So, as we all know, there's problems sometimes, or maybe all the time, within our lives or within the lives of people we know or within the world. There seems to be some type of issues going on, some types of problems. And so many different problems on so many different levels: bodily, mental, collective, community problems, so many different problems. And similarly, within the life of different Acharyas, there are, you could say, problems or issues that they dealt with, just like everyone's dealing with problems, issues within this world. And for example, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his time, Gaudiya Vaishnavism was practically eclipsed, or by so many cheating Vaishnava groups. And specifically, he categorized these to be 13 upasampradayas, or false lines, disciplic successions, which, there's the owls, bows, Chatur, different Sakhi Bekis, all these different, and they all have their own unique deviation. Some of them, like the Sakhi Bekis, they're men, and they think, okay, well, I'll dress like a gopi, and this way I'll, practice Krishna consciousness as a gopi. Anyways, there's more to it, but it's a very strange conception, deviation. And some think, okay, I'll take intoxication and practically do whatever I want, and then I'll just focus on the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna's pastimes with the gopis, and so on, and I'll just engage in kirtan. And in this, so many different deviations are there. So this was a problem that he was facing, or an issue that he was facing. How to, you could say, silence these people, or how to establish that Gaudiya Vaishnavism is not what these people are propounding it is, because intellectuals and different personalities, respectable personalities in society, think, oh, Gaudiya Vaishnavism, that's for these low-class people. So he was fighting against that, and interesting enough, I mean, at the particular time, he couldn't even find a Chaitanya Charitamrita. I mean, that's a problem. I mean, imagine in this world right now, I mean, we have the great fortune of having the Bhaktivedanta book chest, which is printing so many Chaitanya Charitamritas, and they're all going all over the world. But imagine if we couldn't even find one. I mean, that's a pretty fallen state, actually, of the world. You can't find a Chaitanya Charitamrita. So eventually he found one, and of course he wrote so many books, and he had his great son, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who also had to deal with so many problems in his particular day, which some of those problems were dealing with these smarta Brahmins, or materialistic priests, who were saying so many things that, okay, well, if you want to be a devotee, you have to take birth in India, pretty much. And not only just in India, but you have to take birth in a good family, Brahmin family, to really make progress. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he, knowing that these people didn't know what they were talking about, he dealt with the issues, or fighting these people in the sense of establishing that, no, anybody could become a Vaishnava. And therefore he sent some of his disciples to London, and then of course he sent Srila Prabhupada here. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur was dealing with problems which were that the Vaishnavism was eclipsed, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was dealing with problems, and Srila Prabhupada was also dealing with issues or problems within his life. Namely, the issue that, first and foremost, is that there are no temples outside of India, Hare Krishna temples, Radha Krishna temples outside of India. That's a problem, that's an issue. And so, as we all know, he came here and established temples and accepted disciples all over the world, and in this way established the Krishna consciousness movement. So, and along with establishing the Krishna consciousness movement, it wasn't easy. It was challenging. I mean, he had so many disciples writing him regularly for advice, and advice means there's problems. Advice means there's issues. When someone needs advice, that means they want to overcome some particular obstacle or something like that. So Prabhupada was managing the whole ISKCON world and all of his disciples. So it was challenging. So one particular time, a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, Bhakti Sarup Damodar Goswami, in charge of the Bhaktivedanta Institute, he asked, which is a scientific, Prabhupada set up this department for scientific preaching, to preach to the scientific world, scholars and so on, scientists. So Bhakti Sarup Damodar Goswami went to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, I'm just dealing with this one department, and there's so many problems. There's so many problems. But you're dealing with the whole world, and you must be getting so many problems coming your way. So, how do you deal with that? And Srila Prabhupada said that, well, I don't see any problems. I just see service to my spiritual master. I just see service to my spiritual master. So So yeah, these issues and problems that come up within our lives, within the lives of others who we're dealing with and so on throughout the world, or whatever we're dealing with, these are opportunities for service. And these are ways in which we can serve our spiritual master. Just like I was hearing, like Tamal Krishna Goswami, he was saying on one talk I was listening to, he was saying that different devotees, they have different ways that they serve Srila Prabhupada. And he said some devotees, they really meditate like on Prabhupada's Leela and Prabhupada's pastimes, really focused on that. And he said that the way that I am serving Prabhupada is that I'm serving Prabhupada by serving his movement. And he said that I still feel that Prabhupada's very much present, or that he's present, and that he's in charge. And I feel that I'm just as, I feel like I'm just serving him by serving his movement, which means the devotees in the movement. So that's a good way to see things, because I mean, it could be it could be challenging sometimes. Even if whoever we are, whatever problems we're dealing with, small or big, they could be seen quite challenging. But if we see them as, okay, this is opportunity for me to serve, this is opportunity for me to serve my Guru, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and this is what Prabhupada's saying to do. So we do not have to do, in one sense, what Bhaktivinoda Thakura did. It means we don't have to reestablish Vaishnavism, and it means it's not being fully eclipsed by a whole bunch of cheating groups. Bhaktivinoda Thakur did that service. Even within India nowadays, so many people are accepting that that anyone could become devotees. Americans, Europeans, it's becoming more accepted. Of course, it's still some places not so accepted, but it's becoming more accepted. So what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur fought for. And as Srila Prabhupada, that to a degree we may have to do that, but to a large degree we don't. Not like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did. And what Prabhupada did, maybe we'll put someone on a boat and give them $7 and send them to some foreign land and see what they could do. But I think, for the most part, we're not going to do that. Or be the first ones to establish Krishna consciousness worldwide. It's already been done. So, okay, so then what are we going to do? We have to do something in Krishna consciousness. We have to contribute somehow to the mission. So Srila Prabhupada would, everybody, so many devotees have different services, but one of the main things Srila Prabhupada wanted his disciples to do, and grand disciples to do, is Yadidikata ka Krishna Badesh, that become a spiritual master, become a guru, and wherever you go, whoever you meet, tell them about Krishna. In this way, become a guru by telling them about Krishna and deliver the land. Deliver the land. So our particular mission, although we may have different roles to play in it and different services, the main mission is to spread Krishna consciousness throughout the world, throughout SanDiego, throughout Pacific Beach, throughout, somewhere, just to spread Krishna consciousness as far as wide as possible. And although it may seem like a problem and you could say, okay, on one level it is a problem, but as Srila Prabhupada was telling Bhakti Swarup Damodar Goswami, it's service to our spiritual master. So it shouldn't be seen that, okay, well, it's so difficult, and there's not so many devotees in SanDiego, and maybe it's not the easiest place to be a devotee or spread Krishna consciousness or whatever. There'd be millions of things going on in the mind. But we should see that, okay, no, it's an opportunity for service, opportunity for me to do something. So that's important to have that. understanding. And by engaging in the mission of Krishna, the mission of Srila Prabhupada, then we'll be able to get the blessings of these different Acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, whose disappearance is just today. And these Acharyas, such as Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they teach us how to be a Vaishnava. This is, you could say, one of the greatest things that someone could, or you could say it's the greatest thing that someone could teach someone to do, how to be a Vaishnava. Just like Srila Prabhupada, he taught us how to be a Vaishnava. And following him, his followers, they teach people how to be Vaishnavas, and that's the tradition. There has to be personalities who are teaching others how to be Vaishnavas, just like when somebody joins the temple. They're being taught how to be a Vaishnava. This is what it means to be a Vaishnava, philosophically, morally, in terms of cleanliness, so many different aspects. So he taught us how to do that. You could say externally, means what are the activities, the external activities of Vaishnava. And he also taught, Bhaktivinoda Thakur and these great Acharyas, they taught us what it means to be a Vaishnava internally. And internally means the development of these good qualities. And it's not just good qualities for the sake of back scratching, sense gratificatory, you scratch my back, I scratch your back, and we're all happy. Kumbaya, we all hold hands. But it is good qualities that come from the development of Krishna consciousness that are meant to be used in Krishna's service. Somebody's honking outside. So these qualities are important because these qualities are, you could say, ways in which we could preach Krishna consciousness. Just like it says that the spiritual masters are representative of Krishna. That means they stand for what Krishna stands for. That means it's a transparent via medium. That's what Prabhupada says. So the qualities, good qualities that Krishna has, of course we can't have all of them, but some of those qualities could reflect through us, which attracts conditioned souls to Krishna. So this is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is, very most attractive personality, and he gauged his time so intensely. He has a schedule here, right? So many, very few hours sleeping, and he had correspondence, japa, and so many different things. But he's on a very tight schedule, in which practically means he didn't waste time. So that's a great thing that Acharyas teach us as well. So anyway, there's quite a lot more here, but in conclusion, I'll just read the end of it, which this is a prediction of him. When will that day come when the fair-skinned foreigners will come to Sri Mayapur Dham and join with the Bengali Vaishnavas to chant Jai Sacidananda, Jai Sacidananda? When will that day be? So that was his prediction. And it says, in 1986, just 100 years after Bhaktivinoda Thakur's third prediction, 3,000 fair-skinned devotees from America, England, France, Germany, Russia, and 50 other countries gathered at ISKCON Mayapur, Chandradoya Mandir, and Sridham Mayapur. They joined 1,000 Bengali Vaishnavas to rock the universe by chanting Jai Sacinandana, Jai Sacinandana, Jai Sacinandana, Gaura Hari. Srila Sacinandana Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki Jai. And this is the last thing, is that it's the Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada, they all took great responsibility for their in their service and for the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And they all did so much. So a lot of the times people, they may ask, oh, how can I get the blessings, right? You have people, I mean, even if you're not a sannyasi. I mean, if you're a sannyasi, you have a lot of people coming up to you, Maharaj, give me your blessings, and I want to touch your feet, and please pray for me, different things like that. Even if you're, a lot of the times, Indian people, saffron cloth, and they come up to you, even if you're not a sannyasi. I mean, I had people come up to me and give me your blessings. I mean, my spiritual master, on a side note, people ask him sometimes, Maharaj, will you pray for me? So he asked, what do you want me to pray for? And then, depending on what they say, then he may ask further and further. So he's trying to see where they're really coming from, and then he may point them in the right direction according to their mentality. But in terms of like praying for material things, recently I heard him say that, sometimes devotees like praying for health. Oh, is it material? Is it spiritual? And there's kind of a question, right? But he was saying that it really depends what the material thing you're praying for, what you're going to do with it. Just like he gave the example of Giridhara Priya. Giridhara Priya, those of you who know him, he lives up in Santa Barbara. He comes down here for Pujari work sometimes, but Pujari service. So at one particular time, he wanted to buy a house up there, Santa Barbara, but he was having a hard time, like a really long time. He had a hard time finding a house. So then he went to my spiritual master and he said, what should I do? I'm having a hard time. And my spiritual master said, well, why don't you pray for it? And Giridhara Priya said, oh, Maharaj, I can't pray for that. That's a material thing. I can't do that. And then my spiritual master said, well, I mean, you have to see it differently. You see that, okay, I'm going to get this house, and I have my deities there, and then I'm going to invite devotees over for programs, and then I'm going to host devotees when they come into town, and things like that. You have to see it like that. And then Giridhara Priya said, okay. So then he prayed, and a few days later, he found one. So, anyways. But people, they come and they, give me your blessings and pray. So one time, and people did this a lot with Prabhupada. And he had different answers. So one particular time he was in Juhu, and this is kind of 1977, and Prabhupada's body was sick, and so he was there, and then one man came in, and Prabhupada was very thin, and then this man said, oh, Swami, Prabhupada, please give me your blessings. And Prabhupada just looked at him for a very long time. Very serious look, just gazing at him. And then Prabhupada went like this on his head. Yeah. And then he said, I have so much headache. I have a headache. And he said, I'm dealing with so many problems throughout the world, or so many issues in the society, ISKCON. And he said, if you want my blessings, then you help me with this. That's what he said. And then man just offered a bait and left. But I don't know if one particular man, another asking for blessings, more special mercy. One man went up to, he was an Indian man, interesting enough, but I mean, of course, Indians can be addicted to tobacco and all that. But this man was addicted to smoking cigarettes. So then the man went to Prabhupada and said, oh, Prabhupada, please give me your blessings. I want to get free from this, and give me your blessings. And Prabhupada said, oh, you want my blessings, or you want my special mercy? And he said, in the Bhagavatam, Krishna explains what that special mercy is. He said, you want to know what it is? And the man said, yes. And then Prabhupada said, what is that verse? Yasya ham anagrinami. That when Krishna shows special mercy, he takes everything away. And then Prabhupada said, so do you want special mercy? And the man said, no, I'll make my own arrangements. So yeah, but back to that point, like this, Prabhupada, you help me. This is what the Acharyas did. They take responsibility for particular aspects of the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu according to the need. So that's how we get the mercy of our Acharyas and Bhaktivinoda Thakura, by taking on different responsibilities in the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All right, so does anybody have any questions or comments? Yes. Oh, thank you.
Just two historical narrations. You were talking about you were reading that last thing from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that when will the devotees east and west be chanting Jai Sacidananda? So I was there that year in Mayapur, and Prabhupada, we got a letter from Prabhupada's secretary. This is so loud, but don't worry about it. It's just like, jeez. Anyway, Prabhupada's secretary sent a letter that he wanted us, every temple president was supposed to take the devotees at that temple outside and assemble them in front of the building and take a picture of the building with the devotees out in front. And then blow it up, big size, and then bring it up unframed, but rolled about, and then they were all mounted in Mayapur. And if you've been to Mayapur, there's Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Bhaktisiddhanta Marg, and then there's our gate, and then you come down to the temple room. So there's that long walkway. It used to be just a long, before the TOVP was there. And what Prabhupada had us do was frame and post all of those pictures of all the different temples. And it was amazing, because so many of Prabhupada's godbrothers and brahmacharis and other organizations, you would see them literally with their jaw dropped looking, because they thought the list in Back to God had met. They thought it'll never go outside India. And these Westerners can never take it up. And if they take it up, they're just going to be hippies, and they'll take it up for a few months and blow pot and go away. But they'll never become actual Vaishnavas. And when they saw the list in Back to Godhead magazine and in our other books of all the temples, they thought it was a fake. They thought it was empty, like we just, out of a phone book, pulled out addresses, and if you went there, it'd be a mailbox or an empty lot or a 7-Eleven. It wouldn't actually be a temple. So Prabhupada, knowing this mentality, a picture of the building, because, hey, maybe we go by and, take a snap of a bunch of buildings. No. Picture the building with the sign on it, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, and the devotees, because, maybe they go to different buildings, but it's the same devotees out in front, like you could ship them around or something. No, different building, different set of devotees. Next picture, different building, different set of devotees. And they were absolutely shocked. So it was the desire of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the wish of Chaitanya, the prediction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and it actually happened. It's actually, it just blows their mind. So there's that. And as you were talking about responsibility and headaches, I was on a morning walk with Prabhupada in Detroit, and I was a young temple president. I was young at one time, Alex, note that. It'll happen to you too. You wait. So I asked Prabhupada, and I was fishing for a compliment, in all honesty. And I said, what does it mean to be one of the leaders in your movement? I had a little tiny temple. We had 8 devotees. We were just getting started, but anyway. And I thought he'd say, oh, you're one of the generals on the front line or this or that. Prabhupada stopped, put his cane down, sized me up. It was just like a general, checked me out and said it means, because I asked him, what does it mean to be one of the leaders in your movement, temple president in your movement? And Prabhupada said, it means if anything goes wrong, it's your fault. Which I thought was, actually was very good instruction, But then Prabhupada chuckled, because he knew where the whole thing was going, and he chuckled. And I said, Prabhupada, it's difficult, working with all the devotees. To get everybody, it's like trying to herd cats, trying to get everybody to row in the same direction. Not so easy. And Prabhupada said, you just think like this. He said, you think that Krishna has blessed you with the opportunity to serve all the Vaishnavas. So just like you were saying, if we think like that, we have such a nice opportunity to serve Krishna, serve the Vaishnavas, Oh, just see, Krishna sent me a new opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, Prabhupada would instruct... Prabhupada would instruct his disciples very interesting, very intelligent, interesting ways. I'm just thinking about, like, when Tamal Krishna Goswami was at GBC there in India. Yeah, really difficult. Yeah, 4 years. Yeah, he was there and dealing with, all the problems, issues there. And Prabhupada instructs him one time, he said, because sometimes he would do things like, sometimes like they gave him and others, they gave the deed back to Mr. Nair, and that was a big mistake, and Prabhupada was upset about it, and he had to go there himself and get it back somehow. It's long. Yeah, the land. So one particular time Prabhupada said to him, he said, you should understand that if anything goes wrong, it's your fault, it's because of you. And if anything goes right, it's because of me, I get the credit. As Prabhupada said. Also, he said that similar thing to my spiritual master one time in a letter, more or less. It said that you should understand that things are going on by my intelligence and your cooperation. Which was true. Yeah. And in a purport in the Bhagavatam, that always stuck out to me, but in a purport, Prabhupada says that the spiritual master is given unlimited intelligence to guide the disciple. So that's true. So, stood out. But all right. Does anybody have any last comment or question? All right. Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai.